Wilhelm Heinrich Otto Dix was born December 2nd of 1891. His father Franz was a mold maker in an iron foundry, and his mother Pauline a seamstress. He loved music and poetry, and displayed his first artistic talent, especially in drawing, during elementary school. At the age of 10, he modeled for painter Fritz Amann, and the experience inspired him to pursue the arts himself. In 1909, Dix began his study at the Dresden Academy of Fine Arts. There was a huge creative output in the city, but because the academy didn't offer academic painting, Dix was essentially a self-taught painter. Through his rigorous study of Dutch, Italian, and German masters, Dix taught himself how to paint with their methods, such as building up layers of paint to create depth and physicality to the painting. He wanted to create visual texture with his paint. Dix was also inspired by the Expressionists and Post-Impressionists, particularly Vincent van Gogh, after viewing his work in 1913. Dix made his first prints that year. When World War I began, Dix volunteered eagerly to serve and was drafted into a field artillery regiment. However, by 1915 he was a machine gunner at the front lines in France, and the experience of several horrific battles changed his perception of war. He was wounded several times, but still managed to sketch many of the tragic scenes he witnessed. Much of Dix's works focuses on post-war sufferings, portraits, and nudes. Dix became increasingly pessimistic and allegorical during the 1930s, with nudes emerging as witches, prostitutes, or personifications of melancholy. A few famous quotes that Dix made were, "Art is exorcism. I paint dreams and visions too, the dreams and visions of my time. Painting is the effort to produce order, order in yourself. There is much chaos in me, much chaos in our time." Not only that, but in conversation with what we've discussed about art, Dix also said, "Artists shouldn't try to improve or convert. They are far too insignificant for that. They must only bear witness." Now, non-traditionally, I'm going to walk you through three paintings Dix made instead of just one, because all three are in close conversation with each other and show not only different sides of Dix, but his growth in just 1 year. The first piece is called Self-Portrait as a Soldier. Dix painted himself in 1914 during the first year of the war. This piece is meant to depict the hellish combat with violent reds and white flashes, all while Dix's eyes are wide open and white. You can see the muscles contort in the back of his neck and shadow that crosses Dix's face as he turns away, shielding himself from the horror, but unable to look away. The stark contrast between light areas in the upper right and darkness of the left side, all mixed in with flood of bloody red. You can see in the right corner how Dix signed and dated this piece. The next image you see, which is called Self-Portrait with a Gunner's Helmet, was actually painted on the other side of the previous painting that you saw. Dix made two paintings back to back, one showing him as a man and the other as the soldier Dix. You can see how the soldier Dix is enveloped entirely with darkness, with the light coming in from the edges, but not close enough to touch him. The war was affecting Dix, tragically, and through the bright reds and golds of his uniform shining through gallantly, the man himself is still lost beneath helmet and shadow. The face is almost lost entirely, though one can still see Dix's eyes peering back at the scene of horror as depicted in the previous image. 1 year later, Dix made another portrait, this one called Self-Portrait as Mars. You can see how closely it resembles the previous image of Dix as a soldier. Many of the familiarities are shining through. However, this one is distorted with cubism and a violent attack on the edges. In this image, Dix depicts himself as the god of war, with sharp angles making up his face and the scene. In this scene, death is abundant. It is all around him and can be easily seen by the agonized face just to the left of Dix's center. Horses are rearing back and fleeing, while buildings burst in flames, causing cities to crumble. However, despite all this destruction surrounding him, Dix remains alive, upright, and at the center. This time, his face is visible and defined as Dix becomes stronger and defines himself more clearly as a man and artist. You can see how this picture particularly focuses on the primary colors of red, yellow, and blue, with an assault of opposing forces black and white. Even in the previous images, red, yellow, black, white, and the flickerings of blue could be seen.